Thanks for listening to Get in the Hole, your number one stop for all things in the world of golf. Watch and subscribe anywhere you get your favorite shows on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Google, and more. Just search Get in the Hole. Get in the Hole is the official golf pod of the Underground Sports Philadelphia family of podcasts. Now let's get right into the action. Here's your hosts, Steve McAvoy and Ben Pirro.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
Woo. Welcome back. It seems like an eternity, but in reality, it's only been 18 days since Viktor Hovland actually won the tour title. It almost like I hate to be that guy, but now it makes a little more sense because with the PGA Tour changing their schedule around from 2024, the next 7 weeks isn't really even like it isn't a part of last year's schedule. It isn't even really a part of this year's schedule. Because it kind of just, now that the PGA is going back to this like year-long calendar, technically the season starts in January. So really it's like every event is like, you can play it if you want. It's really kind of guys to like figure out their shit, particularly at Justin Thomas. But I think it's funny how the PGA Tour doesn't even have that like real break. Like no, you players, obviously the top 50 are getting about a 2-week break. You have the Ryder Cup coming up in a week and a half, I believe, or possibly next week. And then you don't really play until January unless you're a guy like JT or Max Homa trying to three-peat, or some guys will play a couple of other smaller events throughout the week. But I think it's funny how the PGA Tour really doesn't even have like a break. It's kind of like it's weird to me. But
yeah, I've never liked that. I think it's good when every sport kind of has an off season.
Yeah.
Even with I know technically golf, they do have like an off season. It's like, they have it used to be called the Franklin Templeton Shootout down at Tiburon in Naples. Now it's called something else. But it's like, they have those events. I would prefer for them to just kind of do what they used to do, which was, yes, the season would start in January in Hawaii, like it always would. And then you'd finish up at the Tour Championship. And then after that, you would have, because what guys would do, even though in the past the fall events wouldn't count towards the FedEx Cup, it would still count, though, towards the money list. And guys would use that to get in the top 125 of the money list. The FedEx Cup didn't necessarily matter. It was really, you had to finish top 125 to keep your card. Top 125 on the money list. That was the kicker. And it's like, I have a huge thunderstorm here right now, so I apologize.
Same here. It's okay.
But I don't care. Anyway.
Wait. Aren't you like currently in the midst of like a hurricane right now?
No, there's no hurricane.
Not yet?
The hurricane's not going to hit. It's going to be in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. It's fine.
Oh, I don't know. I heard something about making landfall like a couple days ago, or like supposed to make landfall, and it's in like Jacksonville, but that's still north of where you are anyways. So
yeah. Anyway,
not a huge difference. Anyways,
yeah, it's all just like it's all stupid. The weather,
but
is fucking wrong.
But it's funny you say that though, because as a new season turns around, we are going to be getting changes that will be very similar to what we saw prior to them making the fall events actually count towards the overall FedEx Cup points. And that, my friends, is called a segue. Welcome into the Get in the Hole podcast. Steve McAvoy, Ben Pirro.
I didn't even get to finish what I was saying, but okay.
I will let you finish in a hot second because I need to get to the ad read before we do anything here. To Get in the Hole podcast this week, brought to you by our friends over at Philadelphia Apparel Co., PHI Apparel Co., getting you all of your gear for the Eagles, the Sixers, the Wings, literally any sport except for the Flyers because they absolutely suck. Go to phiapparel.co to get your hands on some hot new merch today, and of course some cool Get in the Hole merch as well as everything else we have from the Underground. I also want to give a shout out, not as a sponsor, but more so as a gesture. I saw KB yesterday. I helped him cover the PLL with DJ. Awesome guy. DJ, if you get a chance to meet him, like, fucking love this guy. Literally spent the last 2 weekends. They were at Gillette last weekend, came to Long Island this weekend. He flew from Michigan to I think to Philadelphia. They drove to Gillette. He flew back home and then flew back to Philadelphia to get to Long Island yesterday. Really cool guys. Really great time. KB hooked me up with this cool hat from his friend over at Bones Golf Club. Pretty cool. Little gold rope, green lettering. Not a huge brand popping off yet. More of a hobby for his friend, who I believe, if he told me correctly, he helped design, was it like Justin Bieber's like clothing line or something, some celebrity. But like really cool stuff. Hats by Imperial, partnered up with them. So really cool stuff. Hopefully they can come out with some more things and possibly jump on the underground sports bandwagon, get on with us, possibly get you some cool gear to rock out on the course. Actually, a really cool logo too. Like this is the tag that comes with it. Like pretty cool stuff. Really like feels like a really cool niche startup brand, which I'm a big fan of. Anyhow, welcome into the Get Old Podcast. Steve, Ben, you were saying something, and I'm going to let you continue, even though what you're saying is segueing right into what we're talking about.
Yeah, you haven't shut the fuck up since we started this episode, so let's just
kiss my ass. God damn. The week-long vacation was actually so nice to get away from your ass.
No, I am so done with you. I finally get to talk. You interrupt me. Then you start blabbing on about this company that isn't even sponsoring us, okay, yet. And then I'm like, you're like, oh, go back to what you were saying 5 minutes ago. Like I even remember what I was even saying. So
perfect. So I
it.
made you look fucking stupid. That was my goal.
And you got.
So as Ben was alluding to prior to,
you got an ugly ass, but whatever.
Prior to the start of the show, a new season's upon us in the PGA Tour. I was at Victor Hovland 18 days ago. Took home the Tour Championship, and just like that, the break is over, and we're back to a PGA Tour calendar. The fun part, though, is that what's typically the fall series of the PGA Tour typically counts towards the money list and the points list at the end of the following year, so 2023-24. A new season comes, new rule changes, and that's where we kind of lead off the show this week. The myriad of changes that are occurring on the PGA Tour. We talked a little bit about it throughout the year, but now that we're finally at this stage and things are finally hitting its course, time to review everything coming to you now in the 24 season. Starting off with the calendar, the PGA Tour has officially changed to a full calendar year schedule rather than starting this week at the 40 net. It will start, as Ben was alluding to, at Kapalua in January at the Century Tournament Champions and end at the Tour Final. Those fall events, not this year, so not these 7 events, but next year in 2024, will then be a series, quote unquote, called the FedEx Fall Cup. With the change of the calendar year, 3 exempt events, plus the President's Cup next year, and then the Ryder Cup following, and so on. For the top 51 players and on, starting the fall season, you will get the same amount of points that you accumulated throughout the year, and you will fight to earn your spot from 51 through 125 to keep your card, move on, and so on. Winners earn exemptions into the majors. 3 signature events, or what used to be called the designated events. I believe it's the Century, the Players, the Majors, and I believe it's Riviera and Pebble Beach. I'm not wrong. Apt to change, of course, as the signature events rotate in and out every single year. So that's the start of it. Ben, do you think this move is obviously a smart, calculated move? It's back to where things used to be. It's a little bit modified from what we typically saw, because back then it used to be solely the money list. Now it also is accumulating points as well to determine the eligibility. What's your thought on the regression back to this mode, or should we have anything else that should have been changed?
Jesus Christ, shut up and just let me speak. Okay.
It's my job to host the show and ask the questions.
You get so long-winded. I keep telling you this. Just shut up.
I'm explaining it.
Okay, Steven. You can keep explaining it. I think it's good that we're kind of going back to something a little bit similar than for what we used to do. I didn't really understand. It never seemed right that the season started in Northern California. The season should always start in Hawaii. That's how I grew up watching it. And I just was like, that's like a weird, I don't know. I always thought it was weird. I like that they're not called designated events anymore. What are they called?
Signature.
Signature. I'm fine with the signature events. It kind of has like I said in the past, as that WGC feel, even though we don't. I think we might only have one WGC event left, and that's the match play. I like the fact that we have them. I don't like that Pebble Beach is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I hate it. I think it is the format, the Pro-Am format screws the whole event up. And I truly believe the only reason they do the Pro-Am is because they decide to have this tournament in Northern California in February when the weather sucks. You know how many times that event has been shortened to 54 holes because of weather? So they're like, no one's going to show up, so I guess we got to get Bill Murray out here to make people laugh. Even I don't really think he's that funny at all. So
it's a hot take in some circles.
Whatever. Anyway, that's what I think. So there, nice and concise for the audience.
You know, I think the schedule changes are nice because also it's a change, and I'll explain more as to what the actual events are. So as you were saying, schedule is changing now from like, I believe it's 45 events throughout the whole year to now 36 regular season, 3 postseason. Standard, same as you've always seen. Those 8 signature events this year: the Century in January, Pebble Beach in February, the Genesis at like the break of February, March, the Arnold Palmer in April, the RC Heritage in May, Wells Fargo in June, the Memorial, which is now actually moving from Memorial Day weekend to June, and then the Travelers, which means that we're going to get 3 straight weeks of signature quote-unquote events between the Memorial, the U.S. Open, and the Travelers, which I have some strong opinions on as well. A couple of other notes here. 3 of the 8 signature events will feature a cut, all of which happen to be based around a certain golfer. So Riviera, which is Tiger's event, Bay Hill, which is obviously Arnold Palmer's, and then the Memorial, which is Jack's event. Those are going to be 80-player fields trimmed down to the top 50 and ties. From there, there's also other modes for eligibility for signature events, and we'll get into that in a bit. I liked how the schedule is now making it so that you don't have 6 to 7 events all kind of clustered up and making guys play week after week after week. You now have an event every single month, with the exception of the majors. Once it comes into April, you're going to really have 2 events a month. And for the most part, you usually have a week break in between. The only time you don't really get that is, I believe, that there's a 3-week period from the Waste Management, which everyone plays anyways, to Riviera, to, I believe, a tune-up event prior to the Masters. So, like, guys are playing at that point 4 out of 5 weeks. For the most part, guys are going to get a lot of leeway. The one thing I find interesting, though, is this year now the signature events for the star players, don't know what that exactly entails, is optional. But didn't we go back to the system for the whole point of the top talents playing every week? That, to me, I don't get.
I don't understand that either.
Then again, I don't know what star player entails, whether it's top 25, top 50, however you want to mark that up. But if you're going to have an event that's only 80 slots and 4 of the top 10 players don't play, who are the other 4 players that are going to take their spot now all of a sudden?
Guys are lower in the pecking order. Guys that would be alternates, you know.
Yeah, but how do you even determine alternates, though, if the criteria and the eligibility is so set in stone that it's the top 80 players? I don't even know if they had a system set up for alternates anyhow.
I mean, there's always been a system for alternates. I mean, that's how you have alternates for.
No, I'm saying like specifically for the what was designated events. Like they put the criteria out for 2022-23, and I don't think they really deviated much from it. Then again, it was full fields anyways, so now we're going to the smaller field lists. It's similar to, like, you obviously don't have alternates for the playoff events because it's pretty set in stone. Top 50s playing in this event. I'm curious to see how they go about alternates, if they even do. If you have 6 players drop out and all of a sudden you have 74 spots, do you then run 74 spots and then trim the list down shorter than 50, or however that works? I'm not totally sure.
Is that a question?
No, I'm just spitballing. I don't know if you had any Any other comments on that? Otherwise, I'll move on to other rule changes and the like.
I personally think that they'll have an alternates list, and it'll be exactly the same how they normally would have an alternate list for, say, like the 3M Open.
Yeah, probably like next highest ranking or next highest qualifying, whatever the number happens to be to get there.
Mm-hmm.
But that would make sense. In terms of getting into the signature events, this is a hot topic for everybody once they decided to go to the shortened fields. The eligibility is the top 50 from this past FedEx Cup, the next 10 best in the FedEx Cup standings, so however that pegs out. Top 5 point earners from full field events, not trimmed down events, meaning certain signature events as well as the playoffs. The top 30 in the official World Golf rankings, and any 2022-23 tour winner gets exemption onto this top 80 list. So actually, you know what? Now that I'm hearing that, it does make sense because you're going top 50, next best, top 30 really in the OWGR, then basically the next 50 best players essentially in the FedEx Cup standings, because you do have guys that are outside of the top 30 that qualified in that top 50 anyways. So you probably do have a field of about 98 to 100 guys who could qualify for it. But obviously the pecking order for alternates would obviously start from 81 on, or however else that goes. A couple of other scheduling changes. The Honda Classic has moved on from their sponsorship, so Honda's out. They've changed that to the Classic in the Palm Beaches. Will, of course, stay at PGA National. The Barbasol Championship is out, so the alternate event will have to get a new name. We don't really know what the new sponsor is quite yet, but we will figure that out eventually. And this year is really interesting. We have not only the Ryder Cup, but we also have the Olympics coming back. They'll run from July 29th to the 4th, which means that we're going to get the PGA Tour schedule pushed back a week, which is also really interesting because that means the Tour final will not be played in August, but rather will be played in September. And it always gets colder in Atlanta after August. So it should be interesting to see how the weather pans over after a full week on.
Oh, God. You and your meteorologist skills, you should work for the Weather Channel because you don't know anything. Ladies and gentlemen, I went to school in South Carolina. It is just as hot in September as it is in August. And it's just as hot as in August as it is in July. It's hotter than Satan's butthole down there. It's going to be so hot. Don't even listen to Stephen McAvoy.
Just ask Lucas Glover. He has plenty of experience with the heat.
Stephen Nicholas McAvoy.
Nicholas?
Yeah, isn't that your middle name?
No.
What's your middle name?
I'll give you 3 shots to answer it. If you get it right, I'll buy you a microphone.
I should have the microphone anyway.
I know. That's John's problem, not mine.
John's unreliable in more ways than one. So
You're not wrong.
Let's see.
3 chances.
DiVincenzo.
DiVincenzo?
Oh no, man, I'm bad at that game.
That's an NBA player's last name.
Is it?
Dante DiVincenzo?
Oh, really? Who's he play for?
The Knicks now?
Couldn't tell you.
I know he was on the Bucks. Who does he play for now? Let's say
Scott.
Yeah, he plays for the Knicks now. No, not Scott.
Jeffrey.
No. It's Anthony, but good try.
Anthony. Okay.
Appreciate that. So with the schedule now out, everything we updated you on, time for the fun stuff. Ben, I got to ask you, give me some of your boldest predictions for the upcoming season. Could be anything from first-time winners to early player of the year award nominees, rookie of the year, major champions this year. Anything that you think is a bold prediction that might come true. What do you got?
A bold prediction for me. Justin Thomas will win comeback player of the year. I'm not sure how bold that is, but I mean, I don't know. I am 1 for 1. I would assume I'm 1 for 1 because I'm assuming Ricky Fowler will win that.
I hope so.
Rory will win the Masters to complete the career Grand Slam. And we'll have more than 5 first-time winners on the PGA Tour.
I love that. I have a couple of fun takes here. So the major schedule this year, for those of you who do not know, the Masters, of course, will take place at Augusta. I believe, if I'm not wrong, it might be on Easter Sunday again that it might fall on, which means that Jordan Spieth is always live to possibly win the event. Let me see when.
Yeah, he's not winning the Masters.
His putter says otherwise.
Yeah.
2024 Easter. Oh, actually, it's March 31st. All right, so it's a little. So it's wow, Easter's early this year. Jeez. So it follows the week after Easter. Then, the PGA will happen at Valhalla in Kentucky. The U.S. Open at Pinehurst, number 2, which is going to be so freaking fun. We haven't had a major at Pinehurst since I think the U.S. Am in 2019. We haven't had a PGA major since I think 2014. Was it?
Wait. I'm sorry. Wait.
A major at Pinehurst. I don't think we had a major there since 2014.
Yeah, it was the U.S. Open.
Yeah. Okay. So first time there since 2014. Obviously, they've hosted a pair of amateur events in 2019 and 2017.
Yeah, Martin Keimer won. He lapped the field. And hey, everybody in the comments below, Stephen, when I qualify for the U.S. Open, Stephen wants to caddy for me. Okay, I think it's a horrible idea. What do you guys think? Comment below what you guys think. Okay.
Well, here, let me actually ask this first. What year do you think you'll finally qualify for the U.S. Open at?
This year. Duh.
Oh, this year?
Yeah.
I could walk Pinehurst.
What?
I could walk Pinehurst.
Steven, I'm not letting you carry my bag.
Okay.
We've been over this a million times.
If you qualify next year, there's no shot I'm doing it because Oakmont is so fucking hilly. I would never be able to do that. And then in 26, I'd probably die at Shinnecock.
I wouldn't ask you to caddy for me.
You would give me like grounds passes though, right?
Yeah, I would. Yes, I would take care of you. You're just not going to be on my bag, influencing my thought process.
Can I get one of those like inside the ropes passes and like be able to like film you and shit for content?
No,
That'd be hype.
I'll let you. I'm not going to get you, and I'll let you get inside the ropes passes for my first 2 practice rounds. You and KB. How about that?
All right.
Definitely not during the tournament, though. No way. You're ready.
I have proper etiquette. I wouldn't talk during your round.
You interrupt me all the time.
Not on the golf course.
Okay.
All right, like there's a line between me being an asshole and me like respecting players' games. Like I wouldn't want to. First of all, if I even spoke during your round at the U.S. Open, I want you to win. Why the fuck would I? Like, why would I do that?
No, you just sometimes you just can't control yourself. That's all. You have a hard time because sometimes you just get so giddy and excited, and you just.
All right, yes, I do get a little.
You'd be at the U.S. Open inside the ropes. You'd be doing a happy dance. You'd be so excited.
I'd be drunk. Finally, the British Open.
That's even worse. Of course not. Of course you'd be belligerent.
The British Open heads back to Scotland at Royal Troon in late July. I don't know if it's a bold prediction either, but I think Justin Thomas wins his 3rd PGA Championship at Valhalla. He's from Kentucky.
I was just about to say that. He's from Kentucky. Yeah.
He grew up playing this golf course. His dad was a member there for years. It makes sense to say, hey, you know what? Like, and now granted, I said the same thing about Max Homa winning the U.S. Open because he had the course record at LACC. Obviously, it didn't happen. But there's something about familiarity and being able to just get around a track that you know in your entire life. It's like, I forget who it was at Liverpool this year. I think was it Matthew Jordan or someone else? Was in, I think, the top 5 the entirety of the week because he literally just played par to 1 under golf. He had been a member there since he was 7 years old, caddied there for 12 years. So like when you have the familiarity like that, I think it makes total sense, and you could play well enough to stay in contention, particularly if you're JT, who at his best is still a very, very, very talented golfer. Even at his worst, is still much better than most guys.
Jared, I think, not to cut you off,
Yeah,
because he said he'd win comeback player of the year next year. First of all, I mean, I know his year wasn't awful. It wasn't like Ricky Fowler's a year ago where he got into the FedEx Cup playoffs by a stroke of luck because guys defected to live.
Yeah.
But because his quality of play has always been so high for such a long time, I would say if he won 3 events, one of them being a major, which I 100% think that's a possibility, him winning at Valhalla. That's a great point by you.
Thank you.
No problem. Would qualify him as comeback player of the year? You know what I'm saying? Was he bad? I guess what I'm saying is, was he bad enough this past year, to be yeah, he could win comeback player of the year? Does that make sense? Am I just rambling?
No, I think it makes total sense because, first of all, he missed the most cuts in his entire career in a single season since his rookie year.
Yes.
A player who's been top 10 for the last probably, I think, 4 years should not be missing 6 cuts in a year. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I think he had only 3 top 10s in his last 10 weeks of the year. Whether or not you want to say that's still good for somebody, I mean, I guess it is, yeah. But when you factor into just how his overall year was, I think you could certainly make the case. It isn't, again, as crazy as Ricky Fowler's, considering he would have literally lost his tour card had it not been for guys jumping to live and him making it into the playoff by the skin of his teeth. But also, you look at somebody should Brian Harman this year get comeback player of the year because he won a major and he's now back to, and he had I think 6 top 20s. Those things also you have to consider what's the severity of comeback player of the year at this point? It's in the NFL, DeMar Hamlin is right now the front runner to win comeback player of the year because the guy almost died and is now back playing football. When I can easily make the argument that Calvin Ridley, who hasn't played football in 18 months, is not going to come back and probably win it because he's going to have a 2,000-yard season. If that happens, where do you go? So I think based on the severity of what you call comeback player of the year, which we'll find out more probably in a couple of weeks when the awards are announced, and whether or not it is Ricky Fowler or insert player here, I really can't think of anybody off the top of my head.
If Ricky Fowler doesn't win it this year, the whole system is rigged.
I could see it. I'd have to look more and see who else would come close. Couple of other bold predictions for me. You haven't heard his name in probably 8 or 9 months. Daniel Berger will win an event this year. He hasn't played golf in 14 months, I think, to this point. Has been it's like a broken record, injury after injury after injury, has not figured it out. I think he'll win. I think once Will Zalatoris comes back, depending on what that is, I know he took soft swings the week of the first playoff event. I think he'll get a win. Whether or not that's the same as him ball striking his way to it, or he actually figures out his putter, is a different story. And then possibly my boldest pick, the President's Cup next year. I think Akshay Bhatia makes the team.
Oh, yeah.
I think he is going to have such a great rookie year and one that's going to go down in history books because he's not going to play in the biggest events, even though I do believe he actually because he won last year, he does qualify for these signature events. So you're going to see him every single week on tour, fighting for his life, fighting to maintain his status, and he's going to go off at some point this year. I don't know when it's going to be, but he will have a string of 3 or 4 events, probably starting with one of those bigger known events, kind of like what Scotty Scheffler did his first big year. And he's going to come out and be terrific and auto cue for the President's Cup. So yeah, those are my 3 big takeaways this year. If I had to give you another major winner, I would love to see Rory win again. he hasn't won in a decade. So I would love.
Think about it, like how poetic. And I'm not a big Rory fan, as everybody knows.
Mm-hmm.
But how poetic would it be? He hasn't won a major. It is thundering and pouring and lightning right now. Dear God. And no, it's not a hurricane, Stephen. How poetic would it be for him nearly 10 years after his last major win to complete the Grand Slam at the place where he choked his first ever real chance of winning a major away?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how poetic would that be?
It would make so much sense.
That is a master story. You know, like every single Masters has like a story. You know, like when Tiger came back and won, or when Dustin finally won his Masters. Like, you know, or when Jack in '86 won, and it was just like kind of almost out of nowhere. Like everyone considered him out of his prime. Like every Masters has every winner. It's significant in some way. I think that would be, honestly, that would be one of the greatest Masters ever, I think, in my opinion.
Now here, let me provide a alternative to Rory winning at Augusta. Because he finished T2 this past year, and I think everyone wrote him off as being an absolute dud for the rest of his career. If Phil wins another major, I don't know. He's finished top 20 at every Masters for the last, I think, 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Despite his old age, still managed to fight through the field and finish T2, only, I think, 2 behind Rahm?
Mm-hmm.
If he happens to win and take it away, and the LIV PGA controversy is kind of dead because of the fact that obviously they've merged and whatever the future is there. But like, it's like the LIV guy taking home what everyone looks at as like the best major, the biggest major of them all, because it's Augusta and the history behind it. What would you make like of that from a LIV PGA perspective, from a player like Phil winning 2 majors in 3 years? Where does he rank all time at that point too?
I mean, I personally think Phil's a top 10 player with or without another major. He is a top 10 player. I think that would be idiotic for someone to sit there and be like, nah, Phil's not a top 10 player. I don't know how much it would impact his stature in the game of golf, because the narrative and the story behind Phil is kind of set. Matt, like incredibly gifted, tinkerer, kind of a drama-filled life. I think it would honestly just be the perfect send-off for him. If I were Phil, all of the shit that Phil has gone through between, dare I say, scandals. I mean, he was like, you know, insider trading, and then his issues with the PGA Tour right before he left the PGA Tour, and you know, his poor play for really a long time. And then for him to go back and win at Augusta for, I believe, would be a 6th major, I think that would be the perfect send-off for him. He won't retire. He wouldn't. That's just not what he would do. But if I were him, I'd be like, you know. By the way, I think Aaron Rodgers just got hurt.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers just got hurt.
Nope.
In like he seemed to, I just watched the video. He seemed to have been like kind of okay, and then all of a sudden he waved, sat down, and just like held his ankle. Apparently the cart's out. So
yep, I'm switching to becoming a Bengals fan. I'm done. I told my dad. I told everybody. I was like, if they don't make the playoffs this year, I'm just switching to the Bengals.
I feel so bad for Aaron Rodgers if for some reason this is a season-ending injury. Hard Knocks would have been the biggest cock tease ever for Jets fans. I'm sorry.
I didn't even watch it, but whatever. I give up.
Well, first of all, you should watch it because it's actually very good. But like the tease of just like seeing Aaron Rodgers, like constant montages and videos of him talking to players and just like being the leader, and now all of a sudden to lose this, it's such a cuck. It's terrible. I feel horrible for Jets fans.
Yeah.
What flavor Mio is that?
What's that?
What flavor is that?
Berry Blast.
Is it actually good?
Yeah, I put it in my water all the time because I hate drinking water.
I've never actually like tried it, but I've heard like really good things. And I used to drink Crystal Light, but like then like the fucking particles get all like fucking stuck in your stuck in the water, and it's gross. But
it's delicious. Look at this.
Oh damn! Chug it, boy. So those are my three bowl predictions. While Ben drinks, we're gonna take a short break, and on the other side, we'll chat all things Ryder Cup. We had a week off. We now get to kind of talk a little more about what we think of Justin Thomas being in the field. We'll chat both sides, see who has the edge early on, and of course, can Max Homa three-peat at the 40th championship? We'll see that and more on the other side. You are watching, listening, and tuning in to Get in the Hole. So after further reports, Jeff Mueller, who's a PT, DPT, he put out on Twitter, he's actually reported a couple of like correct injuries for football players. Based on the play where he was tackled, it says that his left calf trembled, which could indicate an Achilles injury. He did deal with a calf strain during camp. And of course, as I said, he was helped off the field by trainers. He said if it isn't an Achilles, the second option might be like a midfoot, like a Lis Frank injury or like a deltoid ligament. But he said it's more likely it's an Achilles thing than anything else. So hopefully a ruptured Achilles or something like that is not in the cards for Aaron Rodgers. We hope he is okay. Hopefully we can report a little more on this as we continue to monitor it. With that being said, the Ryder Cup field this year is officially set in stone. We have our U.S. and European teams. Justin Thomas did, in fact, make the squad. Brooks Koepka was a quote-unquote easy choice, according to Zach Johnson. A bit of a interesting snub that people haven't really talked about from the European side is Adrian Morant did not make the team. However, Sepp Straka did. Ben, what are your thoughts here from either side? Is there any side you think that has an immediate edge going into Rome next week? Thoughts even on Justin Thomas and Max Homa playing this week as everyone else is taking a break for next week's event?
I mean, so I think it makes sense for Justin Thomas to play this week. I mean, look, when you won a PGA Tour event 2 years in a row, you might as well just play it a third time just to see. I think. Wait, did I say Justin Thomas?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant Max Homa. I apologize. Wait a minute. What was the question?
Between both sides, what are your thoughts on JT's entrance into the field? Adrian Morant's possible snub, if you have a opinion on that, and then just who has the overall edge based on looking at the rosters from your perspective as of right now.
Okay, gotcha. Sorry, my window got hit with like a ton of rain, and I just like lost my train of thought. Okay, look. So yes, Justin Thomas needs a lot of work. Clearly, he hasn't competed, and when he did compete, he didn't compete well. And so I think it makes sense for him to go to California and play. What else does he really have to lose? He's already on the team. Any reps he's going to get will be better than no reps because the last time he competed was really not good. Like really not good at all. Yeah, that's what I think. I think overall, early on, I like the U.S. chances to win. I know that obviously the Ryder Cup this year is in Europe, and as anybody knows, when you have the visiting team, it's always harder for the visiting team to go in and win a game. It generally, that's how it is, unless the home team just sucks. Obviously, this home team, the European team, which is the home team, they don't suck at all. They're very, very talented. I think they have some guys that maybe aren't as well known. I really do like Luke Donald as the captain, though. I really do. I thought he was actually a better selection than Henrik Stenson, who was the original selection. I was like, how is it that Stenson's getting the nod before Luke Donald? I don't really understand that. But I digress. I like the U.S.'s chances to win. Obviously, I'm going to root for them because I'm from the U.S., but logically speaking, I think the U.S. is the upper hand.
I'm actually going to go on the opposite end. I think actually Europe may have a better edge here. Not only the fact that they have the home field. I'm not even going to talk about that. But for those of you who don't know, the U.S. has not won in Europe since, I believe, 1993 or 1995. Back when Tom Watson was the captain of that wild 90s squad. But you look at Team Europe, and I see a lot of really good cohesiveness on this roster. Again, as you said, I love Luke Donald. The overall roster, if you look at guys who are at peak performance right now, Matt Fitzpatrick had 3 straight weeks of exceptional golf leading into this. He's been training his ass off. He's playing really well. Of course, Victor Hovland, the tour champion. When you have Rory and Rahm involved, and then just like the cast of players around them, whether or not it's Robbie McIntyre or Justin Rose or in this sort of an event. Tommy Fleetwood, who always plays his best golf in Europe. And then also, not to mention LIVGolf, who has not even played a major championship and is now playing in a Ryder Cup. He's the first person to ever do that. A really cool sign for him. I think if you look at the overall team, I think the biggest part about the European side that I think gives them this edge is that it's the first time in probably 12, 15 years we're officially moving away from the probably not 15 years, but last decade, moving away from the Sergio, Poulter, Westwood kind of core of guys who have made up every single one of these teams for the last 3 or 4 events. And we're now moving on to a younger cast, guys who hit the ball further, who are not necessarily as skillful in certain positions, but I think can actually mesh a lot better than you would think. Having a guy like Ludwig Aberg or Shane Lowry, Nikolai Hogard, who's incredibly undervalued. People don't even know how good he actually is because he plays more often than not on the DP World Tour. Sepp Straka has won 3 times in the last 2 years. Justin Rose is in the heat of things in his mid-40s, as most guys are on tour. So he's always apt to win. The only guy who has not been playing his best golf as of late is Shane Lowry. And even then, Shane Lowry is a great veteran presence to have on this team. The U.S. side, there's too many question marks for me. And whether it be Justin Thomas, hear me out. Whether it be Justin Thomas's shaky everything, he basically got rid of his dad as his swing coach and is now trying to find himself. Jordan Spieth has had a choppy season despite his really good putting. He's still not at that peak level that you had wished he'd always be at. He was even on the bubble to be a captain's pick. Then you got to figure out who are you going to match Brian Harmon with, who are you going to match Wyndham Clark with. Like the cohesiveness and the camaraderie is a really big part of this, and it's what they've been saying for this whole time. Why did JT get in and not somebody else? It's the boys' club. At the end of the day, you need cohesion, and I just think the European squad can come together in a pretty good way. And Luke Donald's a huge extra. He's a huge extrovert. He's always there to help his team out, and I agree with you. He's a better pick than Stenson, in my opinion. And the cast of guys he has around him, guys who have won big-time events, guys who have been there before, I think it's a really good group. Although I will say the USA coaching staff is probably the best dream team you could probably get between Johnson, Stricker, Love, Fiora, Couples, and I think that is Stuart Sink. So I think it's close, but I think Europe is going to give them a slight edge because of the fact that they've gotten younger and healthier.
Okay, well, I don't agree with you at all, but anyway, that's all I have to say. Moving on. Actually, you know what? I have a follow-up question that I forgot to ask you. No. I forgot to ask you. For a player like Justin Thomas going into this event, obviously is playing the 40 net this week, got rid of his father as the longtime swing coach and mentor. He said he's been told he's trying to find his new swing. Hey, that's a great attitude. I'm just going to go out and try to find it. Okay.
Yeah, literally chopping everything up as he goes into the ball. Obviously, the fall doesn't.
He is oozing confidence right now. What a pick.
Meanwhile, Dustin Johnson is in his house, like closed fist, like I should be there right now.
Nah, Justin doesn't give a shit, I don't think.
You're right. Dustin's too busy banging his hot wife.
Oh
so we're gonna delete that. No, so like as somebody trying to find his new swing and figure out what the hell he's trying to be, is there like a myriad of concerns here, or do you think like he's simply tweaking small things? I feel like he's making a major adjustment right now.
Well, his golf swing is
I heard that.
Did you hear that?
That was loud.
You could see the lightning behind.
Yeah, that's a lot. Wow.
It hasn't rained here in like a century, so it's actually good that it's raining. Damn it, what was the question? Oh, it was about Justin Thomas. Okay.
Yeah, like how concerned should we be here as he was obviously the most questionable captain's pick? Like, can he even win an event with all these changes, trying to figure himself out?
No, look, he's not going to win an event. He's not going to win this week at all.
No, I'm saying like even at the Ryder Cup too. Probably the ultimate concern is the Ryder Cup more than this week.
I just think I don't think he's gonna have. I don't think he's gonna win. I don't think he's gonna get a single point. I don't think he's gonna get a single point. He's changing swing coaches, I guess. I don't know. Does he have it? Who's his new swing coach? Do we know?
Let's find out. I know he had said that he changed away from his father. He's picked up so actually it's more than just separating himself from his father. He also fired his putting coach John Graham. As of right now, there isn't any confirmation on who he's with. But according to some videos and folks around the golf world that have been watching him, he's been relying heavily now in practice rounds on utilizing aim point rather than actual readings of the greens. But no word yet on who his swing coach actually is. For all we know, it's just him experimenting. But he was seen working out with Steve Stricker, so that was also a Ryder Cup thing more than anything else, but could be a potential point.
Yeah, I'm pretty concerned. I think the U.S. will win in spite of Justin Thomas. That's what I think.
Tight victory, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's the Ryder Cup. It's generally it's pretty close.
Pushing aside from the Ryder Cup, Max Homa trying to go for the three-peat at the 40 Net Championship Silverado in Napa, California. Do we think he does it?
It's Max Homa, man, of course. Hell yeah, he does.
He's gnawing at the bit to get here.
He is built for this golf course.
I mean, considering he's beaten the field, I think collectively by 9 strokes in the last 2 years. Yeah, I would hope so.
Yeah.
He's pretty damn good at golf. No one has three-peated at a PGA Tour event since Steve Stricker did at the John Deere Classic. That was, I think, 6 years ago was his win. Or a little less than that. But it's been a while. It's kind of crazy to think about, like, in years, like how fast time goes. Like 2019 was almost 5 years ago, which is like freaky to think about. But yeah.
Well, hey, time stands still when I'm with you, Steven.
Is there anybody of interest this week at Silverado aside from Homa and Thomas that we're keeping an eye on? Any guys that you like this week? Even some young players who are making their PGA Tour debuts this week. Anybody like?
Guys that I like for this week. First of all, I was looking at the betting odds. No free ads, but what?
Wild week for betting odds.
Well, no free ads, but according to CBS Sports, Justin Thomas is the second best odds of winning, which I think is just purely stupid. I like Akshay this week. I think he's a guy that's really come into his own. I think he's a Rookie of the Year candidate next year, assuming he's He wasn't technically a rookie this year, correct?
Who?
Akshay.
No, this will be his official rookie year. I think he was special sponsorship exempt. Yeah, he was.
He had some type of status, but it wasn't full, and then he won, which gave him full status. So
yeah,
regardless, I like Akshay this week. I like guys like Sam Ryder as well. I think Cameron Champ will have a good week. I also like. Oh God. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I could see Zach Johnson playing well this week. What? I'm not even looking at you. I can hear you laughing.
No.
Oh, I thought you were laughing at me.
No, my chair's squeaking.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I mean, there are definitely some good plays this week for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of really quality players, really down low on the odds board that I'm actually very interested in. Of course, this being the first week for a lot of guys coming up from the KFT, there's plenty of new names to get to know. But in terms of the guys that I like this week, Akshay is obviously there at 40 to 1, Justin Suh 45 to 1. Taylor Montgomery, who had a really good fall and early on season, who I thought was going to be a rookie of the year candidate. At 45 to 1, he totally fell off the cliff later on in the year. If you really want to dig deep and go all the way into the 100 to 1 numbers, there's a lot of really fascinating names. Ben Martin, who was a top KFT player last year, I believe he was a rookie this year or had status last year. Eric Van Rooyen, also 100 to 1. Scott Stallings, Aaron Baddeley, 125 to 1.
Aaron Baddeley?
Badley. Words.
Aaron Baddeley, I think it is. Yeah.
Did you know Zach Johnson's playing this week?
I just said that, you dipshit.
I didn't hear you. That's so funny.
You're an idiot.
That's hilarious.
You're an idiot.
I was in Rome 3 days ago. Anyways, right next to Zach Johnson at 150 to 1. Joel Damon playing this week. Patton Kizzire at 200 to 1. Where's he been the last 3 years? I remember him at the Northern Trust in 2019, and then after that, I'm like, I haven't even heard from him whatsoever. And then my last guy at 300 to 1, Nicholas Echeverria won at a secondary event this past season. I forget which one it was in particular, but he's someone that I'm looking out for, someone deep in the odds board. Also, Fred Biondi at 400 to 1, right next to your friend Wesley Bryan, also at 400 to 1.
I mean, Wesley's not my friend. I'd love to be Wesley's friend. It's just that, I mean, I think Wesley's great. I wish we were friends, but I'm not famous enough yet. So
he's too good for you.
He doesn't know who I am.
Don't worry. We'll get him on the pod. We'll introduce you two. We'll get you guys out at a practice round, and we'll make it work.
Wesley and I would be like best buds, I think. I would blow it like 50 yards past him, and I would just let him hear it the whole time. We would be like best buds. I would totally. He's like he's probably he's on my short list of guys on tour that I really want to play with.
You know what? Let's try and make it happen.
He's a really good guy. Like, I really like. He and his brother are awesome. They're incredible. If you guys have never seen their YouTube channel, please check it out. It's called Brian Bros Golf, or just Brian Bros. They are awesome. Great content. Great guys. Very likable. Fantastic banter. Because they're brothers. Yeah, they're incredible. So,
quick confirmation here. Aaron Rodgers out of the X-ray room, but he's going to the locker room with a boot over his foot. His night is over on opening night Monday Night Football. Yikes.
Awesome. Yes. All right. I'm going to get myself some Bengals gear after this.
With that being said, we'll be right back. Beer Money coming up next. We are back. It's time. Whoa. Someone's changing shit on us.
Whoa.
What is going on?
What is happening?
Hi.
I thought KB was going to join us.
I feel like he's somewhere, and it's that or a ghost.
1 second. I got to plug my computer. Shoot.
All right. While he's plugging his computer in, I will introduce the final. What the hell is this?
What?
All right. So, someone's invading our space.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I think someone's invading our show right now. I'm like kind of concerned. Anyways, let's just present the segment. Time for some beer money. Brought to you by our friends over at Kenwood Beer. The best part about seeing KB this past weekend is finally, for the first time in my life, I have my hands on a Kenwood beer. You can only find these right now in the Philadelphia general area, so I can't even get them shipped to me. So he got me a 6-pack. I've been waiting to crack open one of these. Find them on the Kenny Tracker, kenwoodbeer.com. Get yourself a nice 6-pack today, and let's crack one open and have my first ever sip of a Kenny. Let's see how this is. That's really good.
I love how you're just drinking on air right now.
That's like really good. It's like it's literally a better Bud Light. That was bomb.
Nice. Don't waste it.
KenwoodBeer.com. Check them out. Top 20 pick at Silverado, the 40 net championship. What you got?
All right. For me. Shoot. 1 second. Where is it? Here we go.
No problem.
For me, I'm going to go top. What'd you say? 20?
Yep.
Top 20 pick. I'm going to go with Justin Suh. That's going to be my top 20 pick.
Love the pick. Love the play. I'm joining you at Justin Suh for a top 20. I've been riding high on him for all year. I think he'll have another good performance this week. Top 10.
All right. My top 10 pick. I'm going to go with Sahith Theegala. According to CBS Sports, he has the third best odds of winning. But for me, I think a solid top 10 to start off his fall season sounds just about right. Sahith Theegala, top 10.
Here's a fun one. He's finished 26th or better in 4 of his last 5 starts, and 7 of his last 13. His driver and putter have been awesome. I like Bo Hostler for a top 10 this week. Okay, I like top that. 5. What you got?
Top 5. I'm going to go with Cam Davis. He's the 4th best odds of winning this week. I think he's in for a strong week. Cam Davis, top 5.
Top 5 pick this week. I want to look high up, like on this leaderboard, but I don't want to go too high up. All right, I think I got it. I'm gonna go Andrew Putnam. He's he's plus 900 here. He's one of the sneakier guys who we don't really talk much about, but a fantastic player. I think he'll do really well. I think he is very live this year. I think he's posted a couple of top 20s in his last few starts. So someone who I'm interested in. Before we get to that winner, let's get that gimme pick out of the way. Who are you taking? The money all on this guy.
All right. This guy is a cuts-made machine, and I think he's going to make the cut and then some. I'm going to go Sam Ryder, top 25.
I love that. There are 2 guys who I really do like this week as a really out there kind of player. West Coast guys, they putt really well. Dylan Wu and Doug Gim.
Oh, okay.
Both for top 30s this week. Their putters have been really good. This is a putting contest kind of golf course. It's why Max Homa always wins here. It's because the putter always gets hot. The California guys love playing in California, just like how the Texans always love playing well in Texas. So those 2 guys are who I'm taking for top 30s. That's my gimme this week. Your winner last year predicted accurately Max Homa would go back-to-back. Who are we taking this year? And is it Max Homa?
Oh, for me, it's Max Homa. I think you'd have to be a lunatic not to pick Max Homa. That's what I'm going to go with.
Oh, all right. I took Homa last year. It came out true. Part of me thinks it's so hard to three-peat, even in a weakened field. And as I had mentioned, California guys play well in California. He didn't particularly. He didn't go to school in the area like Max Homa did. Why did my screen just get all blurry?
Yeah.
What the hell? That was really weird. Oh, hold on. Here we go. Let's try and do that. And come back. All right. I'm blurry until further notice.
Jesus. On.
I don't know. That was like really random and like weird. Hold on. Let me see if I can white balance this. Usually if you put a white thing in front, it works. That's really weird. He didn't go to school in Northern California like Max Homa did. But I like Sai Thagala this week. Went to Pepperdine, has played here a couple of times in his career. With a short field like this, like not a lot of talent. I mean, I shouldn't say that, but not a lot of top tier talent. I think Thagala at 18-1 is a really fun play here. Although I am rooting for Max Homa to get that third win. It'd be a really big accomplishment for him. So, with that being said, final thoughts this week after our first show off of break. Thoughts to begin the year. Anything you want to get out of the way before we launch yet another season of the Get in the Hole podcast?
No, that's pretty much it. Not a whole lot. I think the Ryder Cup eventually, once it finally happens, will be very exciting. I really hope that Justin Thomas can find his form. I'm a little bit worried that he switched away from his dad as a swing coach because he's had so much success with him. That being said, though, I'm excited for another season. Let's get it going.
I want to actually give you a little shout out. You weren't on the show for the tour final, but
I know you guys greatly missed me.
Yeah, so much so. I want to just give you a quick little shout as you start up your Q School ventures coming up soon. I just want to wish you the best of luck. I really hope you do play really well. I hope to see you at some Monday Qs, break your way into some KFT events, and hopefully just have a really strong year. And really happy to have a tour pro, golf pro, professional golfer on this program, because really it does make things a whole lot better when you get to have someone who knows the game in and out and knows all these different small details. And honestly, like, for someone who doesn't watch golf, you're actually a really like good like encyclopedia of winners and like golf knowledge like that, which I'm not really good at. So
I know you're not.
So props to you and kudos to you. But with that being said, I guess it's time to let things go. For Ben Pirro and Steve McAvoy, thank you guys for tuning in to the Get in the Hole podcast. Like, subscribe, follow us, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast, whether you're listening to us on the road, watching us on YouTube, of course. Again, as I mentioned, like, subscribe, follow, comment. Let us know what you think. Anything that you guys want us to talk about in the future, let us know. And yeah, that's been all. Follow us both on Twitter. Follow the Get in the Hole podcast on Twitter. Follow Underground Sports on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. A lot of fun content coming up. Ben's getting into the content game big time, so we're posting constantly now on our socials, getting you everything that you need from the perspective of the golfer, from the pro game, and so on. And that, folks, has been episode 121 of the Get in the Hole podcast. We'll see you guys next week. Let's get it going. A brand new season is upon. Thanks for listening to Get in the Hole, the official golf podcast of Underground Sports Philadelphia. Catch us every week wherever you get your favorite podcasts, and be sure to like and subscribe on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Get in the Hole Pod, and follow Underground Sports Philadelphia at Underground PHI. We'll see you next time. And remember, get in the hole!